It was nearly 2 a.m. when my phone lit up with a notification. I was still awake, scrolling mindlessly through social media, that peculiar late-night ritual we all seem to perform when sleep eludes us. The name that flashed across my screen surprised me. It was Alex, my straight best friend since college. We talked almost daily, but rarely at this hour unless something was wrong. I tapped on the message, curiosity piqued, wondering what could possibly have him texting me at this ungodly hour. Hey, you up? Had the weirdest dream about you. Don't know why I'm even telling you this, but it's messing with my head. I sat up in bed, suddenly very much awake. Late-night confessions always carry a certain weight to them, don't they? There's something about the darkness, the quiet, the vulnerability of being alone with your thoughts that makes people more honest than they might be in the harsh light of day. I've always believed that 2 a.m. texts contain more truth than most people are willing to admit. Spill it, I replied, trying to keep my tone light despite the sudden racing of my heart. I'm all ears for whatever weird dream starring yours truly has you texting at this hour. There was a long pause, the typing indicator appearing and disappearing several times before his response finally came through. Promise not to make this weird? It's probably nothing, just a stupid dream. I promised, though in the back of my mind, I wondered what could possibly be so uncomfortable that he needed reassurance before sharing. Alex and I had been friends for 7 years. We'd seen each other through breakups, family dramas, career crises, the full spectrum of life's messiness. There wasn't much we hadn't discussed openly. We were at some party, he began, and somehow ended up alone on this balcony. You were saying something funny, can't remember what, and I just kissed you? Like, not a friend kiss. A real one. And the weird part is, in the dream, it felt completely normal. Like we'd done it 100 times before. Then I woke up feeling really confused. Dreams are so random, right? I stared at the message for what felt like an eternity, reading and rereading the words. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I contemplated my response. This wasn't just any confession. This was my straight best friend telling me he dreamed about kissing me. As a gay man who had long ago accepted that our relationship would never cross that particular boundary, I felt a complex swirl of emotions. Let me explain why this matters. Friendship between gay and straight men often involves navigating unspoken boundaries. There's frequently an underlying assumption that romantic feelings could complicate things, that the gay friend might harbor secret desires for more. I'd been careful over the years to never let Alex feel that way with me, to never make him uncomfortable or question my intentions. Our friendship was too important to risk on what I'd always assumed would be unrequited feelings. Dreams are weird, I finally replied, trying to give him an easy out. Your subconscious just throws random scenarios together. Probably doesn't mean anything. But even as I sent the message, something about his dream description struck me as unusually detailed, unusually emotional. Most people don't wake up confused about meaningless dreams. They laugh them off, forget them by breakfast. The fact that Alex was texting me in the middle of the night suggested this dream had affected him more deeply than he was letting on. Yeah, probably nothing, he responded quickly. Too quickly. But it felt so real, you know? Not like a dream at all. And now I can't stop thinking about it. I took a deep breath. This conversation was venturing into territory we'd never explored before. I could steer us back to safer ground with a joke, change the subject entirely. That would be the prudent thing to do. But something about the vulnerability in his messages made me want to be honest. Dreams sometimes reveal things we're not conscious of during waking hours, I wrote carefully. Maybe your brain is processing something about our friendship, or maybe it's just random neurons firing. Either way, it's just a dream. Nothing to feel weird about. But what if it's not just random? He replied almost immediately. What if it means something? Have you ever had dreams like that about me? The question hung there, a dangerous invitation to honesty. Had I dreamed about Alex? Of course I had. He was attractive, kind, funny, all the qualities anyone would want in a partner. But I'd always kept those thoughts firmly locked away, never allowing them to interfere with our friendship. I think everyone occasionally has dreams about people in their lives and scenarios that wouldn't happen in reality, I answered diplomatically. The brain is a strange place at night. You're avoiding the question, he pointed out. It's okay if you have. I'm just trying to figure out if this is normal. I hesitated, weighing the potential consequences of honesty against the value of our friendship. This was the kind of conversation that could change everything between us, for better or worse. But if he was brave enough to bring it up, maybe I owed him the truth. Yes, I've had dreams about you, I admitted finally. You're an important person in my life, so you show up in my dreams sometimes. Some of those dreams have been similar to what you described. But I've never read too much into them because dreams aren't reality. There was a long pause after that message. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times, suggesting he was struggling with his response. I waited, heart pounding, wondering if I'd said too much. I've never thought about a guy that way before, he finally wrote. Not consciously, anyway. But this dream felt different from any dream I've ever had. It felt significant somehow. Does that make any sense? I couldn't help but smile at his confusion. I remembered my own journey of self-discovery, the questioning and uncertainty that came with realizing my sexuality wasn't what I'd always assumed it to be. Not that I was assuming anything about Alex. Sexuality is complex, fluid for some people, and one dream doesn't define anyone's identity. But his willingness to explore the possibility spoke volumes about his trust in me. It makes perfect sense, I assured him. Sexuality isn't always black and white. Some people discover new aspects of themselves throughout their lives. A dream like that might be your subconscious exploring possibilities you haven't considered while awake. Or it might just be a dream. Either way, it's nothing to stress about. I'm not stressed exactly, he replied. More? Curious? Like, I keep replaying it in my mind and wondering what it would actually be like. Is that weird? I took another deep breath. This conversation was rapidly approaching a crossroads, and I needed to be careful about how I proceeded. On one hand, I wanted to be supportive of Alex's exploration of his identity. On the other hand, I didn't want to take advantage of his confusion or project my own hopes onto the situation. It's not weird at all, I told him. Curiosity is natural. Humans wonder about all sorts of experiences they haven't had. The brain is designed to imagine possibilities. That's part of what makes us human. Have you ever been curious about me? He asked, the question so direct it made my breath catch. Like, not just in dreams? This was it, the moment of truth. I could lie, preserve the status quo of our friendship, keep things comfortable and uncomplicated. Or I could be honest and risk everything. Yes, I admitted, the single word feeling like jumping off a cliff. I've wondered. You're an attractive guy, and we connect on so many levels. But I've always respected our friendship and the boundaries that come with it. Your straight identity has always been a clear line I wouldn't cross. The minutes that followed were excruciating. I watched the screen, waiting for his response, wondering if I'd just destroyed 7 years of friendship with 3 letters and a period. Finally, his reply came through. I don't know if I'm as straight as I've always thought, he wrote, the words sending a jolt through me. Or maybe I am, and you're just an exception? Is that even a thing? I don't know the rules here. I couldn't help but laugh at that. The idea that there were rules to sexuality, as if it were a board game with clearly defined parameters rather than the complex, nuanced spectrum of human experience that it is. There are no rules, I assured him. Sexuality isn't a checkbox on a form. It's a continuum, and many people find themselves at different points on that continuum throughout their lives. Some people identify as straight but find themselves attracted to a specific person of the same gender. Some people discover bisexuality or pansexuality later in life. Some people's sexuality is fluid and changes over time. All of it is valid. So it wouldn't be weird if I said I wanted to try something to see if the dream could be real. His question was tentative, vulnerable in a way I'd rarely seen from Alex. My heart was racing now, hope and caution battling for dominance. It wouldn't be weird, I replied carefully. But it would be important to think about what happens afterward. Friendships can survive exploration, but only with clear communication and respect for each other's feelings. I value what we have too much to risk it without being sure we're on the same page. I've been thinking about it all night, he confessed. Ever since I woke up from that dream. I can't stop wondering what it would be like to kiss you for real. Is that crazy? Not crazy, I assured him. But maybe we should talk about this in person rather than over text. Some conversations deserve more than blue bubbles on a screen. You're right, he agreed. Can I come over tomorrow? Or I guess it's already tomorrow. Later today, we made plans for him to come over for dinner that evening. The conversation shifted to lighter topics after that. A mutual friend's recent engagement, a movie we both wanted to see, the kind of normal discussions that had characterized our friendship for years. But underneath it all was a current of anticipation, the knowledge that something fundamental had shifted between us. After we said goodnight, I lay awake for hours, replaying our conversation. I thought about all the times I'd caught myself looking at Alex a beat too long, all the moments when our hands had brushed accidentally and I'd felt that spark of connection. I'd always dismissed those feelings as pointless pining, the unfortunate consequence of falling for a straight friend. Now I wondered if I'd been wrong all along. The next day passed in a blur of nervous energy. I cleaned my apartment obsessively, changed my outfit 3 times, and prepared a meal far more elaborate than our usual takeout. By the time the doorbell rang at 7, I was a bundle of nerves. Alex stood on my doorstep looking equally nervous, a bottle of wine in one hand and a tentative smile on his face. "Hi," he said simply, and somehow that one syllable contained all the complexity of our late-night conversation. "Hi," I replied, stepping aside to let him in. I made dinner. We moved around each other with the familiar ease of longtime friends, but there was a new awareness between us, an electricity that hadn't been there before. We talked about ordinary things as we ate, work, family, the usual topics, but the conversation felt like a placeholder, both of us waiting to address what had brought him here. Finally, as we cleared the dishes, Alex set down the plate he was holding and turned to face me. "About that dream," he began, his voice steady despite the flush creeping up his neck. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. About you." I set down my own dish, giving him my full attention. "I've been thinking about it too," I admitted. "I don't know what this means for me, for my identity," he continued. "But I know that when I think about kissing you, it doesn't feel wrong or strange. It feels like something I want to try. If you want to, that is." I stepped closer to him, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, to smell the familiar scent of his cologne. "I want to," I said softly. "But I need you to be sure. This matters too much to rush into." "I'm sure about this moment," he said, reaching out to place a hand on my arm. "I can't promise where this goes or what it means in the grand scheme of things. But right now, I want to know if reality matches the dream." And then he was leaning in, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence as our lips met. The kiss was gentle, exploring, nothing like the passionate scene he'd described from his dream. But it was real, wonderfully, impossibly real. When we pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Alex smiled. "Definitely better than the dream," he said, and the simple honesty in his voice made me laugh. "Dreams rarely capture the details," I agreed, still hardly believing this was happening. We spent the rest of the evening talking, really talking, about what this meant for us, for our friendship, for his understanding of himself. There were no definitive answers, no dramatic declarations of sexuality or relationship status. Just 2 people navigating new territory together, with honesty and care. As Alex was leaving that night, he paused at the door. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for being someone I could tell about that dream. For making it safe to explore this part of myself." I squeezed his hand. "Thank you for trusting me with it." After he left, I found myself thinking about the strange paths life takes us on, how a simple late-night text about a dream had opened a door neither of us had known was there. I don't know where this new chapter of our relationship will lead. Maybe to something lasting, maybe just to a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other. But I'm grateful for that dream, for Alex's courage in sharing it, and for the reminder that human connection is always more complex and beautiful than the labels we try to put on it. Dreams have a funny way of revealing truths we're not ready to acknowledge in our waking hours. Sometimes they're just the random firings of neurons, the brain's way of processing the day's events. But sometimes, just sometimes, they're glimpses into possibilities we haven't allowed ourselves to consider, windows into feelings we've kept hidden even from ourselves. Alex's weird dream turned out to be real enough, not the dream itself, but the feelings behind it, the connection that had been growing between us all along. And in sharing it, he opened the door to a reality neither of us had dared to imagine before. Sometimes the most important conversations of our lives begin in the strangest ways, at the most unexpected hours. And sometimes, if we're brave enough to follow where they lead, they take us exactly where we need to go. Total_char_count, 17,584.